Good evening. My name is Matt Kohler. I'm the choir director at Fort Myers High School. Thank you. These are the Green Wave Singers, and we have a few selections we're going to sing for you this evening. The first is a set of 3 French songs by Paul Hindemith, and the first one is called The Doe, and it's about a doe who kind of becomes wrapped up in its beauty as it wanders through the forest. Second one is The Swan, and it's the same kind of idea with the swan gliding along the water. And the third one is called Since All Is Passing, and it's about how time moves so quickly that we should just have fun and with love and art and music. And so this is 3 of the 6 chansons by Paul Hindemith. Thank you. Next we have a piece by Sergei Rachmaninoff from his All-Night Vespers. This is Bogorodice Dievo. We will sing it in the original Church Slavonic. And it is a setting of the Ave Maria, the Hail Mary. Not the football Hail Mary, but the prayer. is a piece we just started working on a few weeks ago. And some of you may recognize it. We have any Depeche Mode fans out there from the 80s? No? Oh, one. There we go. All right. Well, this is Enjoy the Silence, arranged by Eric Whitaker.
I'm talking about is delayed from the district. Now,
break the silence, come crashing into my little world. Faithful to me is thy duty. All I ever
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The school board meeting of April 5th, 2016 is now called to order. The time is 6:03 p.m. At this time, we request that all electronic devices be turned off or put into the silent mode. Also, we ask that you please refrain from using flash photography except during the special presentations portion of the meeting. We would like to take this opportunity to remind the members of the public of the district's mission, which is to ensure that each student achieves his or her highest personal potential, and of the district's vision to be a world-class school system. Prior to this evening's board meeting, we have been enjoying the sounds of the Fort Myers High School Green Wave Singers under the direction of Matthew Kohler. Hailed by composer Thomas Lavoie as a prime example of choral music education and practice in the United States, the Fort Myers High School Green Wave Singers are known for their compelling performances and full, rich tone. They maintain a very busy performance schedule in the Fort Myers area and are frequently called on by churches and other civic organizations to present concerts. The Green Wave Singers have collaborated with the Fort Myers Symphonic Master Singers, the choirs of Gulf Coast University, and the Spirit of Gulf Chorus. In February, they presented the world premiere of Paul Mailer's Jubileat Deo and the New York City premiere of his Stabat Mater at Carnegie Hall under the direction of Grammy-nominated conductor James Jordan. In March, they performed Brahms' Ein Deutsches Requiem with the Fort Myers Symphonic Master Singers and the Gulf Coast Symphony Orchestra. The Green Wave Singers released their first CD, The Ties That Bind Us, in 2014. It is available on iTunes and other streaming interfaces. At this time, the Green Wave Singers will perform once more.
Thank you to the board for inviting us and having us here. We will sing Paul Mailer's Stabat Mater, which is one of the pieces that we performed in Carnegie Hall. We'll sing the first movement, which is essentially the Stations of the Cross. So it's Mary weeping at the foot of the cross. That's the image that's going on in this music. Paul Mailer's Stabat Mater.
Thank you very much. Amazing. At this time, we'll take a brief recess while we clear the auditorium. Thank you. Great job, guys.
Thank you.
This evening, Mr. Teuber and Mrs. Dozier will be joining us by phone. Mr. Teuber? Ms. Dozier? This evening's student representative is Cypress Lake High School senior Luke Turner. Luke takes a rigorous course schedule. This year, he is taking 3 advanced placement courses. These include AP Macroeconomics, AP European History, AP English Literature, and Composition. Luke is very involved around campus. He is the vice president of the Student Government Association and served as junior class president last year. He also serves as vice president of the Drama Thespian Troupe 5341. Outside of school, Luke is heavily involved in 4-H and currently serves as president. He was recently one of 3 finalists for the News Press Rising Star Award, as well as having been recognized as a teen leader for human rights. Welcome, Luke.
Thank you.
This evening's agenda includes the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance, 3 recognitions, 1 acknowledgement, public comment, consent action items, which include 4 items under Executive Services, 3 items under Business and Finance, 8 items under Operations, 3 items under Teaching and Learning, 3 items under Superintendent's recommendations, 1 item under Attorney's recommendations, 1 item for public hearing, and 4 items under Other Business. Board members, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Morgan, seconded by Mrs. LaRiviere. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Mrs. LaRiviere will deliver the invocation, after which Mrs. Morgan will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. After the special presentations portion of the agenda, a brief recess will be called to allow those who wish to leave an opportunity to do so. Please rise for the invocation.
Please bow your heads. Father, I thank you for the gifts that you give each and every one of us. And I thank you for the absolute pleasure of enjoying the gifts that these students shared with their gifts of music and lyrical talent. How wonderful to hear such clear, pure tones. Father, I pray that this evening we'll have that same pure tone throughout our evening, that you would guide the words of all who are speaking, that you would give those in the public, those of us on the board, wisdom and clarification. Father, I pray that you would be with us throughout this meeting, that we make wise decisions and do all to the best diligence for our students, our staff members, and our community. Father, it's been a while, but I just want to lift up those families who have been going through different effects of terrorism daily. Some of it makes the news, some of it does not. Father, I pray that you would be with those who are serving our country, that are out there protecting and looking out for the lives of others, that you would keep them safe, bring them home safely, and that you would protect the citizens that they are guarding and protecting. In your name, amen.
The cadet presenting the national colors tonight will be introduced by Command Sergeant Major Kevin E. Williams, Army instructor from Ida S. Baker High School. Sergeant Major Williams served 32 years in the Army. This is Sergeant Major Williams' third year as a JROTC instructor in the district.
Presenting the national colors tonight is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Talia Fernandez of Ida S. Baker Bulldog Battalion. Cadet Fernandez is a member of the Marching Bulldogs, the Wind Ensemble, National Honor Society, Student Government, and Junior Leadership Representative. She is also a varsity cross-country runner and keeps a part-time job. Cadet Fernandez maintains a 4.72 GPA and is an active member of Junior ROTC.
Got it on mute so they can't hear us. That's why I wanted to take Greg. Greg, thanks.
Serving the program as the Battalion Command Sergeant Major, Cadet Fernandez has been involved in academics, leadership, marksmanship,
Not us.
raiders, and drill
He's
team.
cut me off 2 more times.
She has competed on the National Raider team and commanded the female drill platoon, which took first place at the recent district drill competition. Cadet Fernandez's future plans includes attending the United States Military Academy, West Point, where she plans to study biochemistry. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
Come on down with us.
Okay.
Just need to close here. Get to shake hands. I would like the coach from Fort Myers High School, Chad Terrell, to join me at the lectern. The Florida High School Athletic Association, FHSAA, girls basketball finals were held in Lakeland, Florida in February 19th through 20th, 2016. The girls basketball team won state championship in the 6A competitions. The school board and the superintendent are pleased to recognize these fine athletes, along with their coach, for his commitment, determination, and hard work that led to these outstanding accomplishments. Will the students please come forward as Coach Terrell calls your name?
Cameron Bolin, Bethany Brunson, Lexus Bubar, Autumn Giles, Destiny Henderson, Alexis Johnson, Lauren Marquardt, Maxine Millville, Jaria Alton, and Alexis Henry.
I used to be a Henderson until I got married. So we cousins? Yes, all right. Alexis? Okay. Lauren? Yes. Maxine? Yep. Jaria? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. The Florida Music Educators Association All-State Music Conference was held January 13th through 16th in Tampa. Tonight we are recognizing 33 students who attended the conference and earned all-state recognitions and awards in various areas. We will have the groups come up one at a time and take a picture of each group during the recognition. Students, I'm asking that you return to your seats after your group picture, and as a courtesy to the other individuals, wait until the conclusion of our special presentations. Thank you. As I call the music teachers to join me at the lectern, they will then call the students forward. I would like the music teacher from Cape Coral High, Stacy Green, to please join me at the lectern.
Madison Aubuchon, All-State Honor Band.
I would like the music teachers from Cypress Lake High, Roger Phelps, Kayla Lisa, and Gary Strode, to please join me at the lectern.
Isaac Da Silva, All-State Symphonic Band. Carly Fulcher, All-State 910 Concert Band. Thomas Danzy, All-State 1112 Symphonic Orchestra. Bridget McPherson, All-State Mixed Chorus. Ellie Fowles, All-State Reading Chorus. Alan Faria, All-State Senior Men's Chorus. Stephen James, All-State Senior Men's Chorus, and Philip Stringham, All-State Senior Men's Chorus.
I would like the music teacher from Estero High, Warren Baxter, to please join me at the lectern.
Madeline Fales, All-State 910 Concert Band.
I would like the music teachers from Fort Myers High, Mark Dahlberg and Matt Kohler, to please join me at the lectern.
We'd like to recognize Mary Catherine Boring for the All-State Concert Chorus, Jessica Forbes, All-State Concert Chorus, Christian Kohler, All-State Concert Chorus, Sarah Matisse, All-State Concert Chorus, Libby O'Connor, All-State Symphonic Band, Cynthia Sheng, All-State 9th, 10th grade Concert Orchestra, Anna Chazelle, All-State 11th, 12th grade Symphonic Orchestra, Maxwell Norlands, All-State 11th and 12th grade Symphonic Orchestra, Albert Wu, All-State 11th, 12th grade Symphonic Orchestra, and Palmer Hefner, All-State Senior Men's Chorus. I would like the principal from Ida S. Baker High, Jamie Covert, to please join me at the lectern.
I'd like to recognize Hannah Maranzato, All-State Honor Band. I would like the music teacher from Island Coast High, Zach Dieter, to please join me at the lectern.
Dustin Huffman, All-State Honor Band.
I would like the music teacher from Lehigh Senior High, Jay Perales, to please join me at the lectern.
Megan Burkhead, All-State Symphonic Band. Caitlin Calcagino, All-State Concert Band. Kylie Soltez, All-State Concert Band. I would like the music teacher from Mariner High, Frey Peralta, to please join me at the lectern.
Mr. Peralta wasn't able to make it, so I'm Robert Butts, the principal of Mariner High School. I get to do the honors. However, loses a little pomp and circumstance when the music teacher can't be here, or Markian can't be here as well. So I get my picture taken. He excels in academics as well, and he's got a course that he's taking at Florida Southwestern, so he's there tonight. Professor wouldn't let him out, so I get my picture taken.
I would like the music teachers from North Fort Myers High, Sarah Johnson, Nadia Bangish, and Gwen Gregg, to please join me at the lectern.
Brandon Christensen, All-State Honors Band. Cecilia Schreiber, All-State Honors Orchestra. Matthew Aparte, All-State Mixed Chorus. Jesse DeSorieris, All-State Chorus. Jasmine Alfonso, All-State Senior Women's Chorus. Jasmine Baptista, All-State Senior Women's Chorus. Allison Sharon, All-State Senior Women's Chorus.
At this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Renice Monroe, Assistant Director for Student Services, and Ms. Tracy Fisher and Ms. Leslie Wilson, Behavior Specialists with Student Welfare and Attendance, to join me at the lectern. Positive Behavior Support, or PBS, is the application of evidence-based strategies to assist schools in increasing academic performance and safety, decrease problem behavior, and establish positive school cultures. Specific characteristics of PBS model schools are their consistent methods of utilizing their data to better serve students and staff, teaching PBS to new students throughout the school year, establishing creative and engaging reward systems, extending PBS throughout the campus, and partnering with the community, incorporating PBS in daily activities across all available teaching opportunities. This year, 8 district schools are being recognized for their dedication to the Positive Behavior Support Initiative. As I announce the names of the schools, I would like the representatives from each to come forward. First, Cape Elementary, J. Colon English Elementary, Rama C. Page, Trafalgar Elementary, Diplomat Middle, and Alternative Learning Center West, Manatee Elementary, and Spring Creek Elementary. We are proud to recognize these 8 model schools for being named Positive Behavior Support Model Schools for 2014-2015, and we applaud their commitment to the PBS initiative. Yes, I will. I will do that. Just email me. At this time, we'll just take a very brief recess in case anybody would like to leave before the business meeting. Thank you for being here. Okay,
if I
at
felt
this
the need
time,
to, how would I?
we're ready to resume our business meeting.
Oh, okay.
So Ms. Fisher.
And then what if I have no comment?
Our
to say?
student representative will now read the character word of the month. Luke?
Yes, ma'am. The character word for April is integrity, adhering steadfastly to a personal sense of honorable and ethical behavior. Sticking to what you know is right. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. That was written by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The design you see displayed on the screens was created by Caitlin Newman, a 12th grade student at North Fort Myers High School.
Show.
I'm sure it'll appear soon.
Well done.
Thank you, Luke. The next item on the agenda is public comment. Mr. Martin, will you please address the agenda item of public comment?
School board policy provides the opportunity at this point in the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on this meeting's agenda or any other matter relevant to the operation of the school district. If you completed a card and submitted that to me before the meeting began, you'll be called in the order of the card submitted. If you did not submit a card but still wish to address the school board this evening, the school board vice chair, Ms. Fisher, will give you an opportunity in a moment to express that desire. The rules concerning public comment to the school board are posted at the back of the room. The school board does not respond during public comment time to remarks made by speakers. At the conclusion of public comment time, the school board vice chair may address concerns raised by speakers or may assign responsibility to the superintendent to do so. Speakers are expected to act in a respectful manner. Those who fail to do so after being warned by the meeting chair may be required to leave the meeting.
They'll be last
Disruptive attacks on individuals are prohibited.
That's something we need to.
The time allowed per speaker is 3 minutes. Ms. Fisher, I have one card this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Is there anyone on the right side of the auditorium who did not fill in a card and wishes to speak? Okay. Please state your name. Thank you. Okay, anybody, oh, and Ms. Michael? Anyone on the left side of the auditorium? Please speak, state your name. Okay, is that it? Thank you. Did I miss anyone?
Mr. Thomas, I think it is.
Do you have your hand up?
I got Mr. Thomas. Uh-huh. Mr. Martin, please call the first card.
Elaine Smith.
My name is Alan Smith. I'm here on behalf of my daughter, Zayanna Smith. She actually go to school in Fort Myers High School. And March 16, I was called to the school to come pick her up because she had a little argument with another student. So I did that. She was suspended for a couple of days. So on Monday we came back. We had a meeting with the principal, Laosa. So nothing was discussed about what they were going to do to my daughter. So he called me at 2:30, 3 o'clock, and told me that my daughter would get expelled to go to ALC. They didn't give us no paperwork to tell us what exactly happened. The whole thing, the punishment to us that fit what happened to the school was just an argument. She never get into trouble. She never fight. There was no physical touch or anything. So I'm here tonight to find out from you guys, because I've been trying to get a hold of everybody. I even sent you an email, Dr. Hopkins, I sent you an email. You never respond back to me. So my daughter been out of school since March 16th. I want to know when she gonna go back to school, because she's not gonna go to ALC. We're not gonna even discuss that tonight. So I want her to go back to her school, because what Laosa did to her is unfair, because I know there's kids in Fort Myers High School that did worse than what my daughter did. They didn't get punishment like my daughter did, and she don't deserve that. She's here with me tonight. I'm here to talk on her behalf. Her mom is there also. We need an answer, because it's not fair for her. It's not fair to us. So she have a right to go to school, and she got her right taken away from her. So we need to know what you guys gonna do for my daughter to go back to school, because it's getting out of hand. It's been since March 16th. Now we're in April. They told us to wait all the way to April 28th for a hearing. We're not gonna wait that long. We need an answer. Thank you.
Mary Orthodoxo.
Good evening, everyone. I wasn't here at the last school board meeting, but I did watch the video. I'd like to address a few facts that need to be addressed immediately for the well-being of our student body and for our community. Fact, information stated by Kevin Regal is public records. There is no lies, there's no misrepresentation here. Fact, Gulf Coast Construction has built shiny buildings, handed them over without warranties, and then we end up paying double to have our maintenance department turn around and clean up their mess. But yet this body just keeps giving them contracts. Fact, we have 2 members sitting on this school board that have received donations. And in turn, fact, court records that indicate there is fudging of the numbers for the bids to give to the personal friends of different people here on this board. This is all fact. This is not made up nonsense, like Ms. Doja tried to claim. I have the documentation if people need to see it. Fact, Mrs. Doja made an accusation to Mr. Regal that he was Ryan Truther. That is incorrect. I am Ryan Truther. So if somebody wants to talk to me about Ryan Truther, they can talk to me about Ryan Truther. Mrs. Doja owes him an apology on that one. That's another fact. That's all I have to say here tonight.
Mr. Regal.
Okay, thank you. There's a lot to follow up after the comments at the last board meeting, but since 2 of our board members are not here, I'd like to do it face-to-face directly. I believe in that. So I'll go ahead and wait on a few of them. First of all, I will say that I did send you all a video, a voice, about Mr. Toiber discussing that he was not going to help me get public records. We brought it over to the News Press Forum, and the lawyers and everybody else said not only was it illegal, it was double illegal. I haven't heard anything from any of you. I've also sent you emails, including Dr. Adkins, that there are 4 outstanding public records requests that have not been fulfilled. Again, these are lawyers and other people that have said this is double illegal when Steve goes on record and says, I will not help you until you tell me what you're going to use this for. You can't do that, okay? Let's go ahead and talk about Mrs. La Riviere. I wanted to address with you. Part of what I asked for was your last pay stub because you retired in 2014, per your PAF form. The district sent me a 2012 pay stub. Obviously, that would go ahead and pose some questions. I asked for various other files such as your FMLA leave in writing, your intent to return letter, the signature by Nancy Graham on the appropriate form, and the notification which is warranted from the school board in writing of your said disposition. I also asked for your PDF form and your payout of your sick leave. The school district has not turned it over, and they sent me a pay stub for 2012 instead of your last. Now, how is it that you retired in 2014 and they're sending me 2012? So perhaps, first of all, you could do the following. What commencement date did you use for your FMLA leave? Did you reimburse the school board for benefits received since you did not return, ended up running up for school board? Next, if you did reimburse them, could we have any canceled checks or proof of payment of such reimbursement? You were listed on medical leave from August 1st of 2013 through May 29th of 2014 in the board minutes. Documentation from websites listed online show web pages for you from May 1st through May 29th with things you were doing with an LLC created in April of 2014. How is that possible or allowed? These are some questions. Okay, so now they're not accusations, Pam, they're just questions. Since the school district and Dr. Adkins will not release this information, will you immediately tonight order the district to do so? Will you go ahead and turn over this information? And could you just respond? And again, it's not accusations, it's just going ahead. Mr. Martin, I can't believe you lied. I have the proof right here that the judgment in the case, they gave Ernie Scott $600,000. They threw the book at you guys. But you lied and said that didn't happen. Sir, you got a lot of explaining to do, and I've got the documentation right here. Could you please do that? Thank you.
Mrs. Boland?
This is primarily addressed to the board, our audience, and to Dr. Atkins. I stood before this group just about this time last year under far less desirable circumstances, but I am absolutely here tonight beaming with pride that my daughter was one of the students recognized as a member of the championship Fort Myers Green Wave basketball team. If there is any doubt whatsoever that we are a world-class school district, the collection of students and their various talents in this room tonight was absolutely overwhelming. Dr. Adkins, I look at you a bit like I look at Coach Chad, a very quiet, lets his team do his work. I was at the News Press event when you were named the person to watch. Luke, I saw you there as well. All of the students were ridiculously deserving of the honor. It would have been difficult for me to select one. What Coach Chad did was come to our team in the midst of controversy, chaos, crisis, things that had gone wrong, the things that didn't work out, the things we didn't like. But we had a choice as a group to come together and say we're going to dwell on those things, or we're going to take the best of the skills that we have and give this community the best of which we've got, which we delivered was a championship basketball team. I awoke this morning, probably like the rest of everyone else, to Sports Center, and Chris Jenkins is now a household name in my family. But what I heard Chris say this morning was he was asked, did you think you were going to make the shot? And he paused and he said, I always think I'm going to make the shot. And something about that stuck with me, that his resolve and his decision that when I'm put in the game, I am going to make the shot. And he wasn't put in that game to make the shot because he was Chris Jenkins, because it was the play that the team had practiced over and over again, and it was time for the shot. So with that, I would like to say, despite our highs and lows and our ups and downs, I do believe we are facing a new beginning and a chance to be champions over and over again, as exemplified by all of the students that were here, whether musical or athletic, here tonight, and how we as a public play a role in that, and that this board is facing election and this board is going to be expanded. I urge my fellow members of the audience to pay attention to elections, go to meetings, get yourselves involved, and be a team player in allowing us to make this success so that we can make the shots. Thank you.
Jamie Michael.
Michael, President of Support Personnel Association. Tonight you're going to review and vote on the spout contract. We started last June. We finished up February 22nd. Did we always agree? No, but we used interest-based bargaining collaboratively and worked out the issues for the good of the district and for the good of the employees. It passed with 94.51%. Not everybody's happy. Payment in arrear is going to be really difficult for some people, but I think the district stepped up with the possibility of the vacation buyout for those 12-month employees, and we just need to work from there to go forward. This allows us to have our sick leave accrual, our sick leave payout, our vacation accrual, all in the correct paycheck for a change, instead of having to figure it out, have overtime and a correct paycheck. And I appreciate the hard work that the district employees did and that my members did. Thank you.
Jacqueline Perez.
Good evening, Board. I'm here representing the family Smith, where Zaya's dad already spoke with all of you. And I want to bring up the whole incident again that happened to my child, that I waited almost 2 years before anyone from the district actually approached us or made any kind of contact. I don't want the same history repeating itself. This is a wonderful family. This child is an AB honor roll student who has never had any incidents in her entire life with Lee County Schools. They were given a sign-in sheet, only a sign-in sheet, which doesn't even say or state what she was accused of, what she was being, a referral to a permanent expulsion to ALC. It makes no sense. He went to the school, he tried to speak to the assistant principals, and they told him they have no time to speak to him. He has sent numerous emails out, and every door is being slammed in his face. This has to stop. This is not the only family that is having problems in Lee County. This is not a world-class system. I can give you 10 families off the top of my head that have reached out to me after my child's case that are begging me to help them. One of you must be responsible and take the action that this family needs. This child is missing 3 weeks of school, and we cannot wait anymore in the middle of exams, finals, where it's going to be detrimental to her career. This is going to be this is going to affect her college. They look all the way up until the 9th grade. This was over-exaggerated. Mulholland's child, who knocked the lens out of my child's cornea loose, wasn't even punished for more than 1 day. And this child is banished to ALC for an argument? That makes absolutely no sense to me. One of you must be held accountable to respond to this family.
Chris Quackenbush.
Goal-oriented, trustworthy, responsive, careful, wise, data-driven, fiscally responsible, research-based. These are words describing characteristics that good board members and leaders should have. When I attended your own self-evaluation meeting, which was a public meeting, I saw none of you felt good about any of your performances. In fact, the last chair, Kathleen Morgan, graded herself and the board with an F. And this is where we can agree. In spite of promises, we haven't addressed our #1 issue. What are our children learning? We have low standards, incessant testing, and abysmal scores. Our children deserve better, our teachers deserve better, and our community needs better from you. And now tonight, it's rumored that you will be asking the community to cough up another 0.5% sales tax. I don't know if this is true, it's just a rumor, but more money doesn't cure the problems that we have. You have to get together and say, this is enough. Our children need to learn, and we are stopping them from learning. It's an example in Naples where a charter school that adopted a different curriculum under the laws of Florida is #1. #1. We could simply do the same thing. We can turn this around, but none of you are looking at what is the main issue. What are our children learning? We saw lots of bright children showing their talent tonight. Our children are not less bright than anywhere else. They're not less talented. We have failed them in what we are delivering in our schools, and we must stop now.
Lori Fahey. Evening, I'm Lori Fahey. I'm also here to speak on behalf of Ms. Smith. This seems to be an awfully long time for her to be out of school without homework. I've read through the school code of conduct policy, and nothing in there seems to fit this case. They were not given a classification for what her, for why she was being suspended, and her hearing was not placed until the end of April. So those are big issues. We need to, I really hope that you will speak with this family after the meeting's over and address this. We have so many children dropping out of school. We have one here who wants to be in school learning, and we're denying her that. So we definitely need to address it. There have been other stories, and I suppose maybe the question we should ask is, who should these children contact? I have copies of the letters that Mr. and Mrs. Smith sent, and they have not been responded to. So is there a contact person that they aren't aware of or that I'm not aware of? It seems that they heard back from an elementary school contact. So I'm hoping you'll address that, and I do hope that you'll have a hearing for her much sooner than planned. Thank you. Wilma DeVue.
Good evening, Board. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak to you this evening. As you've already heard, my name is Wilma Davalos. I am the mother of Ziana Aline Smith. As her father stated, on March 16th, we were called that there was an altercation, let me back up, it was an altercation. There was a disagreement at school, and we needed to pick Ziana up. Ziana was told that she needed to stay home. It was a Wednesday until Friday. Monday morning, we went to the school and had a meeting with several principals and the guidance counselor. They talked about what happened. There was an incident, very simple incident. A spitball of some sort was thrown at my daughter. She picked up the spitball and threw it back at the student and it hit another girl. There was maybe a 30-second disruption in the classroom. She was sent to the principal's office. We were called. We picked her up. At that hearing, we were told in that afternoon that we would be called with the disciplinary action that she had been given, in addition to the 3 days that she had already served, with no homework or nothing sent home. Her father received a phone call that Friday afternoon stating that she had been expelled and sent to ALC. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I work in the Collier County Public School System. I work for the Children's Advocacy Center. I have had several kids with more severe infractions, and this is so upsetting. I'm sorry. The only person I have sent letters to a few of you up here. I have not received a reply. I have asked for records. We haven't received a reply. I was told that we needed to wait to receive a letter in the mail to figure out what to do. This is since March 16th. My daughter has been sitting at home. We have contacted the school several times. We have contacted Peggy Slichter several times. She has been the only one that's been working with us to at least get homework. Up till today, I checked the mailbox before I got home. We have not received a letter. My daughter has, we have never been called by the school, and this is the school that me and her father graduated from with no issues. We love the school, but obviously there's an issue here. I still haven't gotten a letter stating what we need to do. I sent an email letter asking for an expedited petition. We still haven't gotten a response back. My daughter has never faced truancy. She's never been on an academic probation. She's never been suspended before, and still we're treated like second-class citizens. And I need an answer today. She's sitting at home. She's sent to ALC for a spitball.
Thank you, ma'am. Your time is up. Thank you, ma'am. Your time is up.
George Fox.
Yes, Chris, half-cent sales tax. This district has $650 million in debt obligations, and it has to build 6 more schools. You got kids running all over this county in school buses that should be replaced, but they're not. It's about growth. It isn't about mismanagement. It isn't about incompetence. It's about growth. This district is growing faster than a weed. You're not going to solve the problem by just complaining. You've got to do something. Wishing doesn't get it done. Does it, board? I mean, all the best, the road to heck is paved with good intentions. This board has great intentions. It has no will. This is a battle that you'll have to fight. What has to be done eventually needs to be done immediately. Mary, make your motion tonight. You've got 10,000 employees in this district that vote for it. Their spouses will vote for it. Facebook, the living you-know-what out of this issue, get it out there, put it on the street. This isn't about tricking the public. It's about telling them what their obligations for their school board is to be. You cannot deliver a world-class school system if it's over its head in debt. You just can't do it. Kathleen, you have got to vote for this thing. You can't make some political deal or whatever happened. I don't know. You've been for it, you're against it, you're for it, now you're against it. I don't get it. This district is in trouble. If you can't see that, get off of the board. We need people who are going to fight for children and the teachers who are working 60 hours a week. My entire family has been there since the 1800s. Every one of them has graduated from Fort Myers High School, and I'm complimenting twice tonight Fort Myers, and I'm shocked about what I hear. I'm shocked. We tried to put a plaque up for Ms. Hamilton, who worked at the school for many, many years. You may have known her. Someone did. Wonderful lady. And the principal over there wouldn't let us do it. First he said yeah, and then he wouldn't let us do it. I don't know why. I never got an answer. Something's going on over there. I don't know. It's a good school, and like I say, everybody's graduated from. We love the place, but something doesn't seem right. But this half-cent sales tax tonight, you guys cannot wait. This district will be in big trouble if the economy downturns, and you've loaded it to the gill with debt. What is wrong with telling the public what they need to know? You can't fool them forever, and you can't trick them. Most people out there are very reasonable. They want a school district, and they're willing to pay what it needs to do it. They want to make sure the money's spent accurately or efficiently, yes. That's very reasonable. But this board's not doing that. It's longtime members of this board, they're the problem. And they're supposed to be the answer now? I don't think so. So I'm having a hard time supporting anybody in this coming election that won't support what this district actually needs. The reality, on the ground, not pie in the sky, and certainly not from Tallahassee. This district is on its own, and it's got to act like it's on its own.
Fox, your time's up, sir.
Anthony Thomas.
Good evening. I want to associate myself with some of the previous speakers about letting Mrs. Smith come back to school. I think that's the best thing to do when we got people who want to be in school. We ought to make sure that they can be in school. I also want to talk about something that may surprise Mr. Fox. You know, he thinks I'm anti-tax or whatever he thinks. I don't know. I've heard some of his comments in the past. But I want to applaud Mary Fisher. Mary Fisher is my friend. I love Mary Fisher. I think she has a heart to serve the kids. And I know some of you all here have that same desire. I'm going to say to my friend Kathleen, I know you're in a tight race. I know politics is all around. I don't want to cast aspersions on any decision you might make. But sometimes you have to have a profile and courage moment. Sometimes you have to do the right thing, even if people will disagree with you. And I think it will be consistent. Mr. Fox said something earlier that I want to agree with. You know, you've said in the past that this was something that you favor. I would say to Jeannie and Steve, who I know, very skeptical of this sales tax. I am too. I know our state representatives are skeptical of the sales tax. But what I think we all can agree is that we want to help the Lee County School District. We want to help our students. So I don't see a problem with letting something go on the ballot. I don't see or have a problem with having further discussion. You've heard Mr. Fox. He's come here time and time again. He's told you about the problems. He even has a solution. I came to you guys 2 years ago talking about the need for diversity, expanding the school board. It was just me. But you all listened. You knew that there was something going on there. I think Mr. Fox is speaking for a lot of people. I think there are a lot of people in the district who would vote for a sales tax. I think there are a lot of people in the district who will vote against it. But what I think we should all agree with is let's let the people decide. Mrs. Fisher said in her letter memo to you all, it's time you've talked about it long enough. Let's let the voters decide. You know, we have a new superintendent, strong man, smart man. He's assembled a great staff around him, senior staff. He's going to be making a lot of changes in mid-level staff. But I think he's diversifying the district. I think he's on the right track. Let's see if Dr. Atkins can make the case to the citizens of Lee County. And there's going to be some skeptical people. I'm one of them. Let's see if you can sharpen your pencils, get your numbers out. You got Amy Desmond-Poor here. She's a very smart lady. Let's look at the numbers. Let's see if there's some substance behind the battle cry that Mr. Fox is raising. But the final thing is, whether you agree with this issue or not, let's all agree that let the people decide this issue. Let's put this thing on the ballot. Let's let the people decide, and let's have a discussion on it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mrs. Fisher.
This afternoon at the briefing meeting, I brought up the half-penny sales tax for discussion. And it's clear to me at this point that if I were to make a motion, I would not have support to put it on the ballot in 2016, which would be an opportunity for the voters to decide, which would be something that we could do if we move now swiftly tonight, because we are basically out of time. Seeing that there isn't support from the board, it doesn't make much sense for me to make the motion. I think the voters should decide. I think we've had the conversation out in the community for a long time. We have a superintendent who came on board after the fact of a lot of that, and I think he wants to proceed forward, but I think he wants to be sure that we're going to win. And I don't know that we're ever sure that we're going to win. I read some facts about Florida sales tax this afternoon, which is on the record from this afternoon's meeting. But at this point, I'm going to just reiterate a point that Mrs. Morgan brought up, is that we, as a board of 5 people, have not been cohesive. We're going to have a major amount of work to do in November, because then there'll be 7 of us. My focus is on the children in this district and on supporting the staff who take care of the children. I think we have an inherent responsibility to do what we need to do to make sure that high school kids don't come to us and say in their journalism class they have no cameras. I think we have an inherent responsibility to make sure that our buses are in full working order. All of that being said, and being an educator and a child advocate for a long time, I think we should move forward and let the voters decide. Because if we get it on the ballot, we have time to do a PR And I have spoken to many people in the business community, people who have come forward to us earlier on offering to finance the campaign or the survey, and now they're not available for it. So I don't know what else to say except, yes, I mean, I think we should put it on the ballot, move forward and put it on the ballot. But I also want to give Dr. Atkins a chance to do what he thinks we need to do to posture ourselves to be successful. So that's what I want to say about that. Regarding Ms. Smith, at this point, I'm appalled to hear what I just heard. And I'm going to ask Dr. Atkins if he can respond to the people who came to talk in support of getting this young lady back into school. Because I don't know some of the other details, and I don't know the other side of the story at this point. So if he could respond to that, or at least make a commitment to have some of our student services staff expand on it, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, I will be happy to talk to you after the meeting. Secondly, just as it relates to email, our strategy with dealing with email is our staff takes it and tries to get it to the person that can respond to you the most quickly. That typically is not my office, because I'm not the one that's directly responsible for student services. That would be either Dr. Bohatch or Dr. Spiro. So, but having said that, it's obvious to me tonight that process, for whatever reason, did not work for you. So as a result, I will be happy to talk to you. I don't have all the details of your daughter's specific situation, but I'll be happy to listen to it, and we will get you the answer that you are requesting. Typical situation would be that you would never go over, typically we try to do that in under a 10-day period of time. So, I'm also surprised to hear the time span, but I'm also trying to understand that there are typically, there's details that I quite frankly don't have. So, both from you and also from, Dr. Spiro and Dr. Bohatch. So, again, I'll be happy to meet with you, and we will bring it to some type of resolution.
Thank you, Dr. Atkins. Thank you all for coming to speak. Next on the agenda is the approval of action items in the agenda under consent. Board members, are there any agenda items you wish to pull for discussion under the unfinished business tabled items portion of the agenda? Mrs. Dozier, are you there? Ms. Morgan?
I have none.
Ms. LaRiviere?
Yes.
Mr. Teuber?
I have no polls, thank you.
Thank you. And I have none. Is there a motion to approve the agenda's consent items
So moved.
by Mrs. LaRiviere and supported by Mrs. Morgan? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, motion carries four.
Aye.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Dozier. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. And next on the agenda are superintendent's recommendations. Dr. Atkins?
First recommendation, I recommend board approval of the school bell times for the 2016-17 school year as presented, and authorize the superintendent to adjust school bell times plus or minus 15 minutes for the board adopted bell times for the 2016-17 school year to meet the educational needs of students, and to improve the efficiency within our transportation system where and when possible.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Morgan, supported by Mrs. LaRiviere. Any discussion?
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Next, Dr. Atkins.
Recommend board approval for the school board to reimburse itself for all or a portion of funds advanced for capital outlay purposes from the proceeds of tax-exempt obligations for expenses incurred within 60 days prior to the date of this resolution and expenses that will be incurred subsequent to the date of this resolution, an authorization for the superintendent to negotiate and execute any agreement necessary to carry out the purpose of this resolution.
Board members, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Dozier, supported by Mrs. Morgan. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Next item, Dr. Atkins.
Okay, last item, I recommend board approval of the 2015-16 collective bargaining agreement with the Support Personnel Association of Lee County at an approximate expenditure for FY16 of $4.3 million.
Board members, you've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support. By Mrs. Morgan, supported by Mrs. LaRiviere. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Next on the agenda is Board Attorney's recommendations. Mr. Martin.
Yes, Ms. Fisher, board members, this evening have one recommendation. This is with respect to the amendment to the superintendent's contract that you discussed at the March 22 briefing meeting to establish the annual date for the annual evaluation as September 15, and the date for the interim evaluation is March 15. So this evening, I recommend approval of the amendment to the employment contract for Superintendent Dr. Gregory K. Atkins to establish a format and schedule for the evaluation of the superintendent's performance.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Board members, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Morgan, supported by Mrs. Dozier. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Dr. Atkins, we have a public hearing item. Would you please present your recommendations?
Yes, ma'am. I recommend board approval of the revisions to the 2014-15, 16-17 Exceptional Student Education Special Programs and Procedures to reflect the revisions in Florida statute and state board rules and regulations. The core content of the SB&P is provided by the Florida Department of Education. Additional information regarding district-specific policies and/or procedures has been inserted by the district. The effective date of this revision shall be Wednesday, April 6, 2016.
Thank you, Dr. Atkins. We will now recess the regular school board meeting and open the public hearing. As indicated, the public hearing this evening is to consider approval of the revisions to the 2014-15, 2016-17 Exceptional Student Education Programs and Procedures. At this time, the public will be invited to speak on this one item. The time allowed for comment is 3 minutes. Is there anyone on the right side of the auditorium who wishes to speak? Okay, and anyone on the left side of the auditorium who wishes to speak? Mr. Riegel?
I just wanted to say we had a series of meetings, Dr. Atkins and I. We talked about inclusion, and it was some very good meetings, and talked about the district and what it was trying to do. And part of what this district did when they pulled many of the support staff out of the field and put them in the classrooms, you know, a lot of people were up in arms. And I believe I stood here at that point and I said, I thought that was a good move. And here's the reason why. You can still serve the population, and you can serve more of the population. You know, I understand out of the field a few people, but if you can get them serviced and you can still have the law covered, we were helping 25, 30 people each when we had a deficit. So, you know, Dr. Atkins, one of the things we talked about was, and I said it then and I say it now, I don't think the public knew, and I was the first one to say to you, and you know I'm a big ESE person, big. I mean, I could go off on a tangent and let that be my life's mission. I really could. When I sat down with you and Mark Mora, and you laid out your plan of what was going on, I believe you remember one of the first things I said, wow, if anybody else could hear this, they would see, boy, it's rocky right now, and it sounds like, it just sounds like fire and brimstone. But boy, there's a plan here. And I've seen that plan. And you know what? I know I get up here and boy, do I really bring up a lot of issues. Oh, you know, I've been here doing it for a few years. But you know what? I'm also going to give kudos when it's due. And I've seen a lot of really bad ESE rules. And I want to tell you, you have a game plan, and I thank you for that because you've implemented it. And, you know, I would not be true to who I am if I don't also give the kudos and the congratulations along with everything else. So, you know, I know you don't like to stand up here and talk about it, but if you could touch base a little bit with what we had discussed, I think that plan moving forward, especially with what the legislature wants more and more from us, we know. And of course, they're cutting back more money. They're taking away even more. And what's their solution? Well, just have the general ed teachers go ahead and pick up their ESE certification. That'll cover everything. Oh, of course. Wonderful, isn't that great? Well, so perhaps you could maybe spend a little bit, because I just thought it was a wonderful discussion we had, and I think if the public knew it, it would really open some eyes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Regal. I will now close this public hearing and reconvene the regular school board meeting of April 5th, 2016. Dr. Adkins, please restate your recommendation for this evening's public hearing item.
I recommend board approval of the revisions to the 2014-15, 2016-17 Exceptional Student Education Special Programs and Procedures to reflect the revisions in Florida statutes and state board rules and regulations. The core content of the SP&P as is provided by the Florida Department of Education. Additional information regarding district-specific policies and/or procedures has been inserted by the district. The effective date of this revision shall be Wednesday, April 6, 2016.
Board members, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Mr. Teuber and seconded by Mrs. Morgan. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. At this time, we are ready for board members' comments and reports. Mrs. LaRiviere?
Let's see, one of the pleasures I have in the community with being on the board is serving on the Southwest Florida Regional Human Trafficking Coalition. And you would be amazed at, we've got this sharp young woman here in our area who works with Pam Bondi and the tough stuff she has done with bringing down some of the human trafficking in our area is amazing. Lee County is the hub of much of what goes on in human trafficking. But if you would feel so inclined and would like to join us, we are having a Taste of Freedom this Saturday evening to benefit the coalition and all that is done with regards to human trafficking, with regards to educating hospital personnel, the whole team. And it's a team of several people, several groups working together from training hotel personnel to know what to look for, training hospital personnel to know what to look for, training our teachers to know what to look for, and even to the point where now they're developing training for teenagers, so they'll know what to look for when it may be happening to a friend of theirs. So if anybody is interested, see me after. It's this Saturday, and I will be glad to share information with you. And any other upcoming events and learning opportunities they have, I will be sharing. Let's see. Mr. Regal, I don't think there's anything else that I feel like I need to. With regard to me, I believe they have all the information has been given to you. So I'm just saying I believe because I don't know what you have. So let me just speak for right now and let me just share. A lot has to do with my personal physical health and medical being, which I don't prefer to. May I please speak? Or I won't, without a nod shaking of your head. I did go on medical leave in the fall of 2012. That's why the last paycheck you will see was from 2012. I was on medical leave for that year and was approved for the following year. I knew that I would never be able to go back into a classroom and work full-time. Therefore, I retired in January of 2014. During the time that I was on medical leave, I was not in sick leave bank, so I did not receive any sick leave pay. I had paid into my disability insurance. That, thank the Lord, I did. I did not receive insurance. I paid for my own health insurance during that time period. I received no benefits from the district. In April, end of March, first part of April, I decided to run for school board because I figured that I can do, because some days I can do that in my pajamas if I'm having a bad pain day. So that's all I can share. Anything else to share would have to be addressed through my attorney, because it's private and personal, and the public does not need to know, nor do you, with regard to me and my personal things. But I can answer you honestly those pieces. And in fall of 2012, Dr. Graham was not the superintendent of Lee County Schools, but Dr. Burke was. And that's all.
Thank you very much. Mr. Toiber.
I have none this evening, thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Morgan.
I have a few comments. First of all, to the Smith family, I am sorry that you haven't had a response. It's been my experience since Dr. Adkins came on board and I believe your communications were directed to him with copies to us. I saw the communications, but I had full confidence that since it had gone to him, that, I did not need to get involved because, as I said, my experience with him has been that it immediately goes to staff and something happens. So I truly regret that you haven't had any communication, and I have full faith and confidence that Dr. Adkins will be responsive to you. With respect to Mr. Thomas's comments, I resent the aspersion on my character. I am not making a political decision. I made it very clear this afternoon. I have been out in the community actively talking for the past 2 years about the fact that this district has a problem with its capital funding. I have been very clear about the fact that we can expect nothing from the state legislature and nothing from the county commission short term. I actively encourage Superintendent Graham and her staff to work towards a plan for a sales tax referendum. The school board didn't support that effort, and for whatever reason, and it died. Now, I still believe we're in the same boat. I believe that the public is beginning to understand our problem. The problem is that the business community and the political community, we lost their confidence by our conduct as a board over the past 6 years. And I think they're waiting to see us behave ourselves in a professional way as a governance team for some period of time with the same superintendent before they get on board with us. And I'm not prepared at this time to recommend that we go to a referendum, because I think we can get the entire community on board with some more work on our part, and I think we can pass a referendum with some more work on our part. But I don't think we're there yet, and I don't want us to go to a referendum and see it fail, because this will be our one shot at it. So this is not a political decision on my part. Everybody knows that I feel at some point we're going to have to look at the community and make a decision. But I feel that because the business community is unable to express confidence in us as a governance team because of our conduct, that I can't support it at this time. So that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Mrs. Morgan. Mrs. Dozier.
Thank you. I want to congratulate the Fort Myers girls basketball team. I had the absolute pleasure to watch several of their games, and each of these girls conducted themselves with the utmost of professionalism. Many times when they were facing some very difficult games and other players on other teams did not conduct themselves as professionally and as scholar athletes as our girls did. I was just beaming with joy, beaming with pride, and so very proud of each and every one of them. And I look forward to seeing them in the very near future to congratulate them personally and tell them how proud I am of their sportsmanlike conduct, and also the fact that each of these girls is a very good academic student, and they are a model student for the rest of the school. So thank you, girls. Congratulations. It is certainly well deserved.
I want to welcome back all the students and staff from spring break. I hope we're refreshed and ready for the rest of the year. The Fort Myers High School Green Wave Singers were unbelievably amazing. And I also want to recognize them. I want to thank Luke Turner, our human rights activist, for being our student representative this evening. And I want to mention that our ROTC representative this evening, Thalia Fernandez, is one of the 20 students nationwide who is being recognized by the U.S. Army and Pro Football Hall of Fame. What are we doing in Lee County schools? Take a look at our students and you'll see. This is what we do in Lee County schools. Are we perfect? No. But we will correct any wrongs that have been done. We have a superintendent who has the insight, the courage, and the wherewithal to make things happen. So I trust in that. I want to give a special thanks to our lobbyist, Bob Serra, for his ongoing service to our district. He has given us support and direction and advocated for our district with the legislature and in Tallahassee. Another congratulations to the Ida Baker High School Band, which has been invited to perform in the London New Year's Day 2018 parade. And they were personally invited by Winston Churchill's great-grandson at a special ceremony. And my last thing will be the kudos to Dr. Atkins, Dr. Bohatch, and the participating schools for using restorative justice as a discipline strategy. It's clear from research that this is a highly effective program. You can see a YouTube video on our district website that explains it, and I'm confident that when we have issues in our schools, we can use those kinds of strategies as a first line of defense and keep kids in school where they belong. And I wish I could make a motion, but I can't because the timing is not right, and it would fall to the wayside anyway. So we'll just keep working on our behavior and our teamwork, and hopefully we'll be ready in the next year or so. And then I would like to ask Luke if he has any comments or observations from this evening.
Thank you, School Board, Ms. Fisher. First, I'd like to take this time to thank you, school board members, for this opportunity to be attending tonight's meeting. As a student representative, it was very important for me to be active here tonight, seeing all of the public comments being made, being a part of this meeting, and I would just like to say thank you for the opportunity to attend, and thank you for the opportunity to speak before you all right now. I do have a couple of comments, if you don't mind.
That's what you're here for.
Okay. To the members of the Smith family, I am so sorry. That is horrible. And being a student myself, I am deeply sickened by this horrendous situation that is before us. What you guys are experiencing right now is absolutely intolerable and inexcusable, especially with the hearing. I think as a student, the hearing that was placed, I don't remember what it was, I think it was April 21st or April 28th. And the student, Ziana, sorry, thank you. She was expelled and she didn't receive anything, no explanation whatsoever, and then the hearing is supposed to take place after the fact of being found out that she's expelled. That, I think, is an issue, and I think that needs to be addressed right away. And not to mention the homework not being sent. That's pretty inexcusable as well, considering all of the academic rigor that we students receive from all of our teachers. We all get it. Sometimes I stay up till 2 in the morning trying to get stuff done. It's such a hassle, but you have to get all of it done. But that's inexcusable, and I'm really, really sorry about the entire situation. I mean, if you didn't notice, I was crying over here. That's horrible. Just when you were speaking, those words that you were saying before us really got to me, and I'm so heartbroken for your daughter. I'm so sorry. And over a spitball? Come on, people. I'm so sorry, but that's just a joke. And but anyways, another comment I would like to address to over there. I'm unaware of any other information going on within the board. I'm not serving on the board, but I'm not discounting anything that was said tonight. But I would like to state that members of the school board, I think they are doing a fantastic job, because from my experience, I've worked personally with school board member Mary Fisher. She and I collaborated on a youth leadership forum that 3 students, including myself, we worked together and collaborated and presented a youth leadership forum in which school board member Mary Fisher was present, along with other members and prominent business members of this community, and we were able to educate over 40 teens, in which all of those different teens were educated on different aspects of leadership. And after that, half of those 40 teens were able to go into their schools and into their other clubs or extracurricular activities that they participate in and pursue positions of leadership. And they were able to receive them. And some are currently serving, some have formally served, and I think that was very successful, as well as the fact that other members of the school board, they are serving on or adult mentoring students on the student advisory committee. As a student representative, I'm one of the members of this committee. The student advisory committee meets monthly, and this committee is specific for the fact of addressing different issues that take place for students within the different schools. And we as students, we have representatives from each school, including middle school and high school, and we all meet monthly and go over different things. And we have had all of these school board members present, and they help address and discuss, and we are able to go over different issues such as bullying, such as with the Chromebooks, such as academic issues, anything pertaining to what we've just heard tonight. And don't let me forget that issues will be brought up at the next meeting, I assure you. So that's all I have for tonight. But other than that, thank you again for letting me participate in this, and I'm very happy for that. We do have consider great audience attending tonight, and thank you.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you. Mr. Martin.
No comments this evening, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Adkins.
Thank you. First of all, again, let me just go back to the Smiths and their situation. Again, I'll meet with you afterwards. Just a couple things. One is that remember we have spring break in there. Secondly, Luke, I'll just say this to you. One thing I've learned in my experience is that there's multiple perspectives around an issue. And as I sit here, I want to hear what they have to say. I also want to hear what Fort Myers staff has to say, as well as my staff prior to rendering a decision. So it's just, so I just feel I need to say that. Now, having said that, it is our desire as a district to literally reinvent the way that we manage student conduct. You've heard Ms. Fisher mention restorative justice. The other thing is that we are looking at putting programs in schools that help us address more successfully student conduct while still having them stay in school and also receive services that they need. What is now called the Alternative Learning Center, next year we will term the Success Academy, because we feel that we can do it better than it currently is, so that students can go there for a longer period of time, get the service that they need, and come back to the school rather than it being seen as like a long suspension, and then you come back and you're behind, or you're not as you're the root cause of the conduct has not been addressed. The other thing is that Dr. Bohatch has done, and he and Dr. Spiro, Dr. Carlin, they have literally gone out to schools, they've talked to students, they've talked to teachers, they've talked to community members to make some changes to our student code of conduct so that minor infractions, of which I would assume spitballs would be one of them, would not be something that would land somebody in alternative learning center. Now again, I'm going to, I want to hear, the whole thing from everybody before I weigh in on the appropriateness of the decision. However, those are code of conduct changes that we are making now, so that minor infractions are dealt with in a different manner. Because the way they are now, if they stack up, if a kid commits a minor infraction multiple times, they can eventually land in the Alternative Learning Center. Well, maybe if we address something like tardies, late to class, disruptive behavior in a more appropriate manner, we would reduce the number of out-of-school suspensions and increase student achievement because we keep kids in school longer. I think I would encourage all of us to stay tuned. This is, by the way, a community effort. Jerry Ware is sitting in the audience. Jerry knows because she helped me when I was a principal at Paul Lawrence Dunbar Middle School. It was a community effort there with our ATS program, our Alternative Suspension Program, but I needed her help to work with our kids to keep them in school, and she committed her community resources to help us in that endeavor, providing speakers, providing people to come in and work with our kids after they got done with their community service component. So it can be done district-wide, and we can keep kids in school. I went from 620 suspensions one year to 3 the next. Okay, that was with the help of the community. So, we can do this if we work together. I do want to just, the public record stuff continues to come up. So what I've asked to do is I've asked for Mr. Dodick to look at our procedures to determine whether or not they are compliant with Florida law. In addition to that, we have asked Mr. Martin to weigh in, but then we also feel that we need to get a third-party opinion, somebody who's outside the district, just to look at what Mr. Dodick's recommended revisions are, so that we get an outside perspective, so it's not just the inside job. So we are in the process of doing that, and I really sincerely hope it addresses some of the concerns that we hear here every day or every board meeting. I do know these things take too long. The other thing that I will be asking the board probably to do is we're reviewing staffing levels in the communications department so that we can be more responsive. So that stuff will come forth. Mr. Dodick has already recommended changes and revisions. Mr. Martin has reviewed those, and in addition, we're in the process of getting a third party to review those. And this is, and I wish I had brought more information about that person's credentials and who that person is, but I will commit to doing that. So I think that you will see a better job in the future. And I believe with Ms. La Riviere, we addressed that in accordance to law, but, obviously that's something, that we would want to review, obviously. So, and make sure that we are, because what this has brought to our attention is that our policy hadn't been looked at since really Mr. Donzelli was in charge of, public records. And so we felt it was time, and that was a recommendation actually of our own, Amity Chandler, that she said, this is a procedure I'm following, review it, and get a legal opinion, and we even feel the outside third party would be a step in the right direction. So I did share our comments, or my comments about the half-penny sales tax, or, you can see those if you go back and look at the briefing, but I do want to share for everybody that in terms of our borrowing capacity, in terms of a large district, we are a growth district. We are growing very rapidly, about 2,000 kids every single year. So we have to build a large, 6 schools in the next few years. But in terms of where we are in terms of our borrowing capacity, we are an AA plus rating, I believe. AA plus, thank you, got thumbs up there, which is an exceptional rating. Also, there is only one large district that does not have debt. We are on the low end when you compare us to, we're better than Pasco in terms of the amount of dollars that or the amount of the 1.5 mil that we put towards debt. Pasco is significantly higher, as is Miami-Dade, Orange, Broward, Palm Beach, St. Louis, Lucie, Hillsborough, Collier, and Polk, and even with the high school, we come under all of those. However, that is not an endorsement of continuing to take on more debt. I agree with Mr. Fox, and I believe the board does as well. The board has been very supportive that we need to reduce this debt. We hear you, Mr. Fox, we really do. And we do have a plan. We need to execute the plan. And as I tell you, I'm in it to win it because I do want this to be the very best school district. But I don't want to go down a pathway prematurely. But that's not to say that I'm not going to do it, because we're going to get where we need to be. I promise you that. I do appreciate Mr. Riegel bringing up the discussion that we had on inclusion. We did have very good discussion about that. We landed here because I believe with our student assignment, we went too quickly, and we literally have students assigned to schools where the services that they needed were not in place. The training was not in place. That put an undue burden on teachers, on principals, school staffs, and of course the kids didn't get the services that they really need. We're taking a step back from that, making sure that we do have resources deployed at those schools, which includes going back and reviewing those student assignment procedures. And making changes as necessary, so that when we go through this process next year, kids are being assigned where we have the expertise available in the room to address the concerns of the kids. I will tell you, I have lived both sides of this issue. I was at a Cape school where the services were not there. It was a very small situation, one SB classroom, and it was chaotic. I was the assistant principal in charge of discipline there, and it was I was constantly involved in that particular classroom environment. I went to Paul Lawrence Dunbar Middle School that had exceptional staff. They were well-trained. I had a well-trained behavioral specialist. In fact, she was a behavioral analyst. Those kids excelled. We hardly had issues because the staff was equipped and trained to do it. And then they moved out in terms of if they were mainstreamed into regular classrooms, they did it when they were really ready for that to occur. Again, I feel that these things can be replicated across this district, and that is part of the plan that I'm referring to. So I hope that captures everything that we had a lengthy discussion, and we talked about a lot, but that's certainly, so changes in student assignment, training, staff deployment, and making sure we have centralized some services so that kids are assigned where the services are available for them. The last thing I just want to mention is that, again, standards and testing came up. I think that, first of all, I've been notified that at the middle school level, the old middle school test plan, Ms. Valeris went back and reviewed went back with every middle school and said, all right, how many of you are following that old plan? 75% of them have decided to go a different direction, which should and is significantly reducing the amount of the progress monitoring, testing, using the district tests and so forth. That's just, and this is just the first step. The second thing, and I did put the memo out last week, and we got some good feedback on it, but we also got some, hey, this isn't far enough. It's not changing my school. So we have to go back and review that as well. And Soretta Ralph is working with me, and she is already working on next year's plan, which will be more of a district-wide comprehensive approach that will, the hallmark of that will be less is better. Also, we want to do the educational forum again, and we're talking about, I want to say April 28th, 7th, April 27th. More information will follow. We also have to get a committee together to have community members start to help us with those standards. We are well down the road in terms of working on that, but I think the balanced scorecard is in place. We're using it to make decisions about staff and also about leadership in buildings. I think that's going to make a huge difference. But then this last piece of this plan has to do with making sure that the school district of Lee County standards of excellence are in place. That's a three-year plan, although Soretta told me today she wants to accelerate that if at all possible, so that we have standards that are above Florida, Common Core, or whatever, and better address the kids in our particular school district. So I do want to say that the plans are in the works. Educational forum is coming up the 27th, and again, more information on the committee. And that, I believe, is all my comments today, except to say that they did a great job. The Fort Myers, they were fantastic.
Oh,
so,
absolutely.
Mr. Kohler, thank you very much, and kudos to Fort Myers. And girls basketball to boot. I mean, plus, so fantastic job. Oh, sorry. SPALC agreement, last piece. Again, that was probably it had to have been the longest collective bargaining contract that I've ever been a part of in 14 years, but it was because we made a lot of changes, we did a lot of pretty innovative things, but it took time to work through that, so I really appreciate the interest-based process. It's a way of handling, you can have really absolute total disagreement on issues and work yourself through it, focusing on the interests, in this case, the interests of kids and the interests of employees. So thank you for supporting that this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Atkins. The next scheduled meetings of the board are Tuesday, April 19th, 2016. There's a school board workshop beginning at 9 a.m., a briefing meeting at 2, and the school board action meeting at 6. At this time, seeing no other business to come before the board, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Morgan, seconded by Mrs. La Riviere. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.
Remember.